Well, Frank, just give us an indication first of all, and you are very welcome to BoxNation, as to how David Price, your fighter, has ended up with us on BoxNation.
Well, it's just negotiation. We had a relationship with Sky Television. For some unknown reason, they didn't want me to promote David in my own right as Frank Maloney Promotions. They wanted me to agree to work and sign with Eddie Hearns, which I refused to do. You know, when David was out there on there, no one wanted him. I remember Eddie Hearns telling me he couldn't fight, he's got a glass chin. And it wasn't interesting him, so I signed David Price. I guided his career to this sort of level we're at now, and hopefully we're going to go further. Well, I know we're going to go further. And now all of a sudden, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You've got Eddie Hearns, you know, making unnecessary offers through different channels, getting other fighters to talk to him, you know, trying to throw a spanner in the works. Boxing is not about one person controlling it. Boxing is about having options out there, about promoters. You know, to me, there's two good promoters out there. There's Frank Warren, who's been around a long time, and there's myself. Yeah, there's some. Mick Kennedy's a reasonable promoter and has done a great job, and he's been through the same things I've. Ricky Hatton's learning his trade.
How important do you think it is for the fight game in the UK for BoxNation to flourish?
Very important. You can't just have one TV company because, you know, when one, it's like anything. You can't have one bank. You can't have one church. You can't have one anything, because if you do, it's a dictatorship and it's a monopoly. It's wrong because it doesn't help the sport. You know, that one person controlling it can dictate the terms, dictate everything. You need choice. I'm a great believer. I'm a publican by trade as well, and I'm a great believer. You know, you'd like the only pub in there, but then you think you've got the only pub. You're not going to try. You need competition to make you want to work. You know, I was on the verge of walking away from boxing, but what's happened has given me the biggest kick up the backside, and I feel like a 17-year-old again, just starting all over again. And there's no way I'm walking out of this game on them notes. I'm walking out of this game on top, and that's what this is what this has done to me.
You did say pretty recently that you were fed up with the whole business. So is it David Price that has rekindled your love of the noble art?
In a way, yes. His loyalty to me, because he could have walked away when everything was going wrong. He could have said, "Frank, you can't deliver to me." He gave me the opportunity to go out there. He gave me the opportunity to find a new home for us. And you know, and I thought, well, if he's showing that loyalty to me, I've got to show some loyalty to him. And I've got other fighters. You know, it's not just about David Price. I mean, he is the golden goose, let's be honest, heavyweights. But I've got Danny Price from Scarborough, I think is a great fighter. I've got the Dickinson brothers, who are good fighters. I've got Brian Rose. I've got young Chris Edwards. I've got Kevin Satchell. I've got Dylan White, another young heavyweight I'm grooming. And I've got the Highlander up in Scotland that I'm working with, Tommy Gilmore. So, you know, and all together, they all kept phoning saying, "You can't walk away, Frank. You know, wait till we go." And I'm thinking, you know, I was fed up with a lot of it, but you know, sometimes I got complacent. I think I actually got very complacent. I felt I was safe. I'd been at Sky for 23 years. It was like an insurance policy, and then this happened. So it's probably what I needed. I probably would have just drifted and from day to day if I'd have stayed where I was.
How convinced are you that Pricey will go all the way in this game?
No, I'm very convinced. You know, I study heavyweights. I look at the heavyweights that are around you at the time. That's what people got to judge it. People will say, "Oh, you know, bound to say it," but you look at what's there at the time. You name me a heavyweight outside of the Klitschko. That is a name. It's a struggle. So I think to myself, we're doing this right. We're doing this in an old-fashioned method, the way we done Lennox Lewis. And, you know, I said to David, you know, you're going to get fed up me comparing you with Lennox Lewis or comparing the way I'm moving your career, but it never got broke this way, so why try and change it? It worked. There's a pattern to doing this. I've got the same team around me. I've got Don Majeski in America I'm using. I've got a great relationship with the trainer, a great relationship with David. You know, we've got very good sponsors involved who are making sure that everything's there that we need to do this. And, you know, David is learning. Where he's learning, and this is what non-boxing people don't realise, is he might be knocking people out in 1 or 2 rounds. But you know what? In them 10 weeks of training camp, he is NAF training. That's his classroom. That's where you learn. You don't learn in the ring. You make mistakes in the ring. We saw Paul Ahmed Khan make a mistake the other night. You know, Lennox Lewis admits he made a mistake against Oliver McCall, made a mistake against Hassine Rahman in South Africa. You make that mistake in boxing, Your career like that, it could be. So you do all the preparation, the hard work in that 10 weeks, and you build up to your training camp, and you continue building on that. You get the good sparring, you get the rounds in there. So when you go in on the night, people want to see heavyweights take people out. They don't want 12 rounds of boring boxing. They want something to go, and they want something that knocks. That's why people have caught on to David Price. He's been knocking people out.
So it's his power that is his main attribute from your point of view as well. Obviously dedication to the game as well, Frank. But that's one thing that people love about that heavyweight is a powerful heavyweight.
Oh, he's got punch in both hands. But you know what? He's also got a boxing brain. I listen to him sometimes and I think, he's talking more sense than I am. You know, and which isn't hard, I suppose.
Took the words out of my mouth.
But you know, he has got a boxing brain. It's great to work with someone that's got a boxing brain and someone that will listen. You know, I've been blessed to work with some good heavyweights, you know, and I've worked with some bad heavyweights. And, you know, I've worked with some good fighters and some bad fighters. As I said, Danny Price from Scarborough, he's a good fighting man. You can sit and talk to him. The boxers of today are different to the boxers of when I sort of really made my name and reputation. You know, there's a little bit difference in them. Let's
talk about the Audley Harrison fight. Is this then an example, judging by the way you're talking, of a professional who's done everything wrong fighting a professional who's doing everything right?
You could say that, but Audley's done something right. He's crossed over in boxing. He's transcended from just being boxing to being the public either love him or hate him. And you know what? That's what I need for David. That is when you know you're really becoming someone special. You're transcending the sport. Audley Harrison's done that, and that's why this is a great fight. Because you know, I heard David say about grandmothers know Audley Harrison. Well, you're right. I tell people we're fighting Audley Harrison, and no one says anything bad about the fight. They say to me, "That's a great fight." Hey, that Audley Harrison. They just remember his name, you know, and they go, and because it's the year of the Olympics, they remember him winning the gold medal, and that's important.
But David has it within himself to become sort of the darling of the British public as well. He's got a lot of things going for him, apart from his boxing skills.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, he's a family man. He doesn't forget where he comes from. You know, he's got principles, which I like. There's certain things he won't do and certain things he will do. He supports Liverpool Football Club, which has got a massive following, so, you know, it helps. And he's a likeable character, and he speaks well. He doesn't badmouth his opponents. He thinks before... He talks, unlike a few fighters out there.
And he's given you a buzz again.
Very much so, yeah, very much so. You know, and joining BoxNation has also given me a buzz because, you know, BoxNation is a baby in the TV world. It's up against some monster giants out there. So I can compare BoxNation's career with my new career, and I'm thinking we're both on the same. We're both now taking on the world, and that's what we're doing. And together, hopefully, we'll succeed.